Hey everyone, welcome to Man Cave Insider episode 32. I'm Dennis. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like what you see, make sure you subscribe to our channel down below so you can see past and future episodes. Now we're here in my man cave, and this room is surrounded by things I've collected my entire life, and these are the stories behind them. And I'm so excited to finally be talking about one of my favorite trilogies of all time, the Back to the Future trilogy, directed by Robert Zemeckis. And what I just got in is the 35th anniversary limited edition gift set, with the movie appearing on 4K for the very first time. Now, Back to the Future got its start with writer Bob Gale. When he was visiting his parents, he came across his father's yearbook. Now, Bob Gale and his father went to the same high school decades apart, and he wondered what it would have been like to go to school with his father, and he came up with a time travel story along with co-writer and director Robert Zemeckis. The plot has Marty McFly going back in time to 1955 and accidentally interrupting his parents' first meeting. He has to figure out a way to get his parents together and, along with the help of Doc Brown, find a way to get back to 1985. Now, in the early drafts of the script, the time machine was almost going to be a refrigerator, but they decided to do something with a little bit more mobility and came up with the DeLorean. And the original ending of the film had the DeLorean going into a nuclear power plant to get back to 1985. Ultimately, that ending proved to be too expensive, and they decided to stick with using the backlot at Universal Studios. When Zemeckis and Gale finished the script, they brought it to Columbia Pictures, who turned it down because they felt the plot was too clean. This was the age of the raunchy teen comedies such as Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Porky's. So then they decided to bring the movie to Disney. And when they saw the storyline between a mother inadvertently falling in love with her son, they thought the film was too raunchy and they turned it down. Then Zemeckis went on to direct the film Romancing the Stone, starring Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, which was a big hit, and suddenly Back to the Future was in much higher demand. So Robert Zemeckis decided to turn to his mentor Steven Spielberg, who brought the picture for Amblin Entertainment and set it up with distribution at Universal Studios. Zemeckis had also written one of Spielberg's earlier films, 1941. Now, Michael J. Fox was always the first choice to play Marty McFly. However, filming of Back to the Future conflicted with filming of his television show Family Ties. They approached Family Ties producer Gary David Goldberg, but he would not let Fox off to film the movie. So they began to audition several other actors for Marty McFly, such as C. Thomas Howell, Ben Stiller, and John Cryer. Ironically, John Cryer got his big break 1 year later when he played Ducky in the film Pretty in Pink. However, the role of Ducky was originally offered to Michael J. Fox, who couldn't do it because it conflicted with Family Ties. They eventually hired Eric Stoltz to play Marty McFly and began shooting Back to the Future in November of 1984. However, after 6 weeks of shooting, they felt that they weren't getting the laughs that they were looking for with Eric Stoltz, and he was dismissed from the project. Zemeckis and Gale then went back to Gary David Goldberg and asked if they could work something out where Fox could do Family Ties and Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox immediately accepted the offer and began working on Back to the Future in January of 1985, just 6 months before the film was released. He would work on Family Ties during the day until about 5 o'clock, and he would have a car waiting for him to take him to Universal Studios, where he would work on Back to the Future all night, and he would get about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day. This went on for several months, and Fox was also shooting the film on weekends. One of the great things about the Back to the Future films is its dead-on casting. It's impossible to imagine anyone else playing Doc Brown besides Christopher Lloyd. Marty's parents were played by Crispin Glover and Leah Thompson, and Biff Tannen was played brilliantly by Thomas F. Wilson. Huey Lewis and the News contributed 2 songs to the soundtrack, Back in Time and The Power of Love, which went to #1 and was nominated for an Academy Award. Huey Lewis also had a brief cameo in the film where he uttered the famous line, "You guys are just too darn loud." Based on the strength of the test screenings of Back to the Future, Universal moved the film up from August to July of 1985, where it grossed over $300 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing film of the year. When Back to the Future was released on home video in 1986, they put in something extra at the ending, a screen saying, "To be continued." After the success of Back to the Future, Robert Zemeckis went on to direct Who Framed Roger Rabbit for Disney, and Bob Gale began to write the script for the sequel. The script had Marty and Doc going to 2015, 1985, and 1885, and the script was so big they decided to make it into two films that were going to be shot back to back. Back to the Future Part 2 picks up immediately where the first film left off, and while Marty is walking around Hill Valley in 2015, he's walking past a movie theater playing Jaws 19. If you look at the marquee on the side, it says directed by Max Spielberg, which is Steven Spielberg's oldest son. In the same sequence, Marty goes to the 80s cafe and comes across two kids playing a video game. One of those kids is Elijah Wood from Lord of the Rings, and this was his first film. Another great element about the sequels were actors playing multiple roles. Michael J. Fox not only played Marty at age 17 and 47, he also played his children Marty Jr. and Marlene McFly, and in the third film he played Seamus McFly. Thomas F. Wilson played Biff Tannen at 17, 47, and 77. He also played his grandson Griff, and in Part 3 he played Buford Mad Dog Tannen. Back to the Future 2 came out in December of 1989, grossed over $300 million worldwide, making it the third highest grossing film of 1989 behind Batman and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The film had a cliffhanger ending and a trailer for Part 3, which arrived in theaters 6 months later. Back to the Future 3 saw Marty going back to 1885 to bring Doc Brown back to the future. New to the cast was Mary Steenburgen playing the character of Clara Clayton, a love interest for Doc Brown. Most of Back to the Future 3 was shot in Northern California. This was going on at the same time that Robert Zemeckis was editing Back to the Future 2. He would shoot Back to the Future all day, get on a private jet, fly to Burbank, have dinner, supervise the editing of Part 2, wake up the next morning, fly back to Northern California, and do it all over again. ZZ Top also contributed the song Double Back to the soundtrack and had a cameo in the film. Back to the Future 3 arrived in theaters Memorial Day 1990, grossing over $200 million worldwide and giving a great ending to the trilogy. Now, Robert Zemeckis, who owns the rights to Back to the Future, is very adamant that there will never be a Back to the Future Part 4 and there will never be a remake or a reboot. However, the legacy of Back to the Future continues on 35 years after its original release. In 1991, Universal Studios unveiled the Back to the Future ride, which had Christopher Lloyd and Thomas F. Wilson reprising their characters from the film. There has also been several other Back to the Future video games, and in 2015, for the 30th anniversary release, Christopher Lloyd and Robert Zemeckis teamed up for the short film Doc Brown Saves the World, which is on this set. There's also Back to the Future the musical, which debuted in Manchester, England in 2020 for several weeks. It's set to premiere in London's West End in 2021, with an eventual hope to bring it to Broadway. Back to the Future the musical features songs used in the first film, such as The Power of Love and Johnny Be Good, with new songs being written specifically for the musical. So 35 years later, the legacy of Back to the Future is just as big as it ever was. The DeLorean used in the original films was painstakingly restored and is currently on display at an auto museum in Los Angeles. Not only did I enjoy these films when they came out, but I've also been able to share these films with my daughter, and it's no doubt that Back to the Future will be around for generations to come. Now, what I have here is a poster for the original film that I had autographed by Christopher Lloyd when I met him a few years ago. And I just got in the 35th Anniversary Trilogy Limited Edition Giftset, Amazon exclusive. So let's open it up, take a look, and see what's in it. Okay, so what we have here is the Back to the Future 35th Anniversary Trilogy Limited Edition Giftset, which has the movie on 4K for the first time, Blu-ray, and a digital code. This is an Amazon exclusive that comes with a collectible levitating hoverboard replica. Now, the film has been released on several formats in the past, VHS and DVD. Back to the Future made its debut on Blu-ray 10 years ago for the 25th anniversary trilogy. There's extensive documentaries, deleted scenes, Q&A, commentary, music videos, and a lot of great stuff. And all of that carries over to this 35th anniversary release. So let's open it up and let's take a look. So it has the 4K movies, and what's nice about it is it comes in a booklet with great photos, a list of all of the bonus features. It's got part 1 on 4K and Blu-ray, part 2, 4K and Blu-ray, all the bonus features, as well as part 3. It's got the poster, which is always great. They had some great artwork for the posters. And then it's got this bonus disc with over 1 hour of content of episodes of the animated series, a preview of Back to the Future, the musical, and it also shows some of the original screen tests of people such as Billy Zane and Kira Sedgwick and several others who auditioned for the movie. And it's got a hoverboard commercial and a Jaws 19 trailer. So I definitely look forward to seeing that. It also comes with the digital code, and I already took that out. And with the Amazon package, it comes with a hoverboard case. It's got a magnet on it, and really cool. The hoverboard actually levitates just like it does in the film. So you could see this is a really, really great set. I look forward to having this displayed, and I'm so glad to finally have the Back to the Future trilogy on 4K. So that is it for our look at the 35th anniversary release of the Back to the Future trilogy on 4K. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you next time.